Hello, Bible Fellowship Church. This is Pastor Chris. I want to welcome you guys back to another Digging Deeper series, and I'm here with a special guest, Pastor Blake Booth. Blake!
It's an honor to be here, man.
This is your
Thank
first
you.
time, man.
First time, and it's an honor and a privilege, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. You know, people that are watching probably don't know who you are. And so, I met you several months back.
Yeah.
And you showed up for one of our pastor council meetings. I think that's where I first met you.
Wow. Okay.
I'm trying to remember actually, but
no, you know what? I think there was a city event. And
Oh,
then
that's
you invited me at the city
that's
event,
right.
and then I came.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, but when I met you, you said to me your church name.
Yeah.
And we had a good laugh about it, man. I remember this. And so
People love it or people hate it.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah. So tell everybody the name of your church.
So my church is called Tougher Than Hell Church. Matthew 16:18 says, "Upon this rock I'm going to build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." We just believe when Jesus builds something, he builds it tougher now.
Right on, bro.
Yeah.
You said to me when we met, you're like, Chris, we might be the only church in America with hell in our name.
That's probably accurate.
I was like, all right, man. I don't think I've ever heard of one. So I grew up Southern Baptist, man.
Nice.
It was like,
Nice.
that probably would have been like a heretical statement in church. You would have been sent to the closet or something.
Man, when we decided that we were going to plant a church, and that Christmas we have like my family's like the big fat Greek wedding, right? Like whenever there's a Christmas or a holiday or birthday, like all of us show up, and there's no space to breathe because there's like 100 of us.
Yeah.
And so Christmas, it was one of those events, and my Grammy, my dad's mom, she like comes through the crowd, and we're just before presents, so everybody sat down, everybody's in that spot. She goes, "I heard you're planting a church." And
good,
the room goes, she's like, "What are you gonna call it?" And the whole room goes silent, all the eyes. And I said, "We're calling it Tougher Than Hell." And she goes, "What?" And I said, "We're calling it Tougher Than Hell." And she goes, "No." I don't know if she goes to my church now.
Oh, cool.
But I don't know if she's ever said I go to Tougher Than
man.
Hell. She says TTH. So
She's like,
yeah, it's pretty
all
funny.
her friends,
Yeah.
like I can picture this, like
What church do you go to? Tougher Than Heck. I go to Tougher Than Heck, or TTH. Yeah.
Right.
So
man.
It was pretty fun.
I love it, man. That's awesome. Well, and God's called you guys to some amazing, unique ministry in our valley.
Yes.
You were sharing with me before we started this that God gave you a vision for the Hemet in San Jacinto Valley.
Yeah, we had been focusing on Temecula all my life. I had wanted to plant a church in Temecula. I grew up in Temecula. I was like, man, this is gonna be the perfect vibe. We got the call. I was like, oh, this is it. This is the moment. We're going to Temecula, and we drove through Hemet like 3 times, and 3 times my very spiritual wife, my very super spiritual, like I'm saved, but she's like super saved. That's kind of the joke in the house.
She's got the special place in
Yeah,
heaven.
There's like Mary, the mother of Jesus, and then her. She hates when I say that. She's like, stop doing that, because like she's so humble, right? I'm not. Like
Right.
But we drove through Hemet 3 times, and on 3 different occasions, she goes, "Hey Blake, do you think God would call us to Hemet?" And I was like, "No." Wow. Stop.
Yeah.
And the 3rd time I was like, "What is the deal? Why won't you get off this?" And she's like, "I just don't know if Tougher Than Hell is a Temecula church. I think it's a Hemet church." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "Gosh." So then when we
yeah, she's right.
yeah, we made that.
Let's go.
I was like, Lord, like I grew up coming down to Hemet, and it was one of the things where I was not a fan.
Yeah.
And so then we prayed and fasted, went to our elders, and everybody was of the same mind. And I'm like the one standout.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, like send me to Ethiopia, like God, like Nineveh, Lord, somewhere. Hemet? And long-time Hemet residents would know. And so, but later on, after we had come to that decision, I had a dream, and I don't ever have dreams. Yeah. So like when I have a dream, it's like, and it was vivid. Like all 5 senses are working, and I could smell, and I could taste, and I could see, and we were coming down in a U-Haul down from Anza, which is where I lived. We had taken over a church when I was 24 in Anza, and we were moving from Anza to Hemet, and we came down, and the city of Hemet was nothing but a giant riverbed or a lake bed, and it was all dried, and there was no moisture, and there was no, like the lake had been long dead.
Yeah.
And I saw these decrepit buildings all over the places, and I knew that they were churches.
Wow.
And in the dream, I heard the Lord say, "I'm going to fill this place up again.
Wow.
This is going to be a reservoir. And then I saw churches being revived. I saw the Spirit of the Lord falling like rain and filling the place. And I knew that revival was coming. And it wasn't going to be the result of any one church. It was going to be the result of His Spirit working through His faithful servants. And I was like, just honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, like I want to be a part of that.
Dude,
Lord,
come on.
Right?
You know what I mean?
All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that with Pastor Blake. And listen, we ended on a teaser, man. And so, as he was describing that vision coming down the hill into the valley, it just reminded me of that vision that Ezekiel had, the valley of dry bones, and how God he had a plan to resurrect those bones, man, to put flesh back on them and breath back in their lungs and all these things. And so you guys got to tune in next week to hear what he has to say about that. So just want to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll catch you next week.